A legal case for a chess match. Two players, two sides, two stories to prove. Who will prevail? Who will make the first move? Simple in concept, but there is a small catch, a legal dispute construed as a chess match. A game of chess has its own form and rules. Similar to court, there are procedures to use. To follow the law correctly is only a piece of the picture. What determines success, I'm afraid, is much bigger. One may know all the rules and the law, but without more practice, this notion is flawed. A game of chess is black and white, where two sides are in a constant struggle and fight, making strategic moves in the hopes to advance to thwart their enemies from having a chance. Much like a legal case or trial, a game of chess requires guile. To outmaneuver, respond, defend, and plan till the end when the judgment is at hand. The two parties are presented in division and will continue this dance until a decision. Sometimes victorious, the party rejoices, the defeated left to remain voiceless, thinking about their choices. However, there may be an instance where no party prevails, each side stuck in stalemate with no more story to tell. Much like the court, you may win or you may lose. How much did each side give to see the case through? Down to the end, after each sacrifice is made, no money, no pieces, no more moves to be played. Who truly wins when there is a higher power, an observer who watches from high in his tower? The court, the judge, has the final say on who, if anyone, will benefit today. Hi guys, it's Stephanie, and I hope you enjoyed my poem. I really liked making a poem about comparing chess and the legal field, or like the legal system, and I thought it was really pertinent, especially for Bleak House and Mill and the Floss, as those are the two novels I was writing my paper on. And for my paper, which is titled The Social Influence of the Court on the Female Heroine in Charles Dickens' Bleak House and George Eliot's Mill and the Floss, I was really concentrating on the court's influence on Esther and Maggie's social stance within their societies, and how even though Dickens and Eliot are trying to write about a female who is functioning with outside of the social norms, like they definitely have characteristics that are not commonly seen in other characters at the time, and how even though like they have these characteristics, they still cannot break out of these Victorian gender roles. So I really liked having the court as a backdrop, kind of a metaphor for that, because we see in Bleak House how the court just goes, this court case, Jarndyce and Jarndyce, just continues to go on and on and on and on throughout the whole entire novel. And there's all these people like pretty much hanging their whole livelihood on the decision of the case. And it's kind of sad because, court does this sometimes nowadays where it just drags on and on and on and on. And by the time you get to the end, you get this great decision, but there's no money left to kind of reap the benefits from it, because it's all that money has gone towards paying the lawyer's fees and the court fees and the filing fees and like all this other stuff, modern reference with filing fees and all that. But, so I really like that, because in Esther's case, she's not directly involved with the Jarndyce and Jarndyce case, but she is a ward of Jarndyce. And, if she had found out earlier on that she was Lady Dedlock's daughter, she would have been afforded a lot of wealth and a lot of power for a woman at this time. And she definitely could have functioned more throughout her life without her male benefactors, particularly Jarndyce. And I think it's really important that like Esther's in this like weird cross section where she understands what's going on in the case, but is also afforded this great position within the domestic realm, but is the narrator in the novel. And she's acting masculine by taking on this role, even though she's functioning within the domestic realm and over exaggerating her feminine qualities. Especially in her narration, we see her say, "Oh, silly me," or she laughs at herself a lot, making herself seem more feminine than she actually is when she's trying to like function with outside of that realm by being fully immersed within it. And then in Maggie's case, I liked the backdrop of the real estate lawsuit, because despite everyone in the novel saying that Maggie shouldn't be educated and she shouldn't be reading Latin and she shouldn't know math, she shouldn't be able to catch on as well as she does, She was showing really great progress for a woman. And, she could have just carried on her merry way based on her wits and her smarts. But because of this case, she was pulled from school, and so was Tom. And, they were kind of left to their own devices since their father died. And they had to kind of figure out their way for themselves. And for Tom, that was to go get a job and be within this masculine realm. And for Maggie, she wanted to do that. She wanted to help out, but she was pushed aside because she's a woman. And even though she's smart and shows this great potential to really help out the family, she doesn't get that chance. And, she's just constantly striving to please anyone that she can. And please them by not being a Victorian woman. Everyone wants her to be this Victorian angel with blonde hair and angelic and really friendly and like Lucy, but she's not. And, there's a couple of male characters who see her for she really is. And then, in the end, she's kind of thrown aside because she couldn't decide. And, she's this black sheep. And then, in the end, she ends up dying. And, I feel like the court or the real estate matter, really drove that home, and how, she could have done well and she could have gone on her merry way and not really bothered anyone and all that. But, because they were in such squalor and need for money and a need to kind of rebuild their social standing, she couldn't break away from that. And that's really like the main point of my paper is like, despite Esther's almost afforded ability to escape the domestic realm and to function like in a masculine society by being the narrator of the novel and being almost afforded this great wealth from her true family, and Maggie's, smarts and wits and her inability to like really hone that and pursue that, Dickens and Eliot like created these great female characters who I love, but they just can't break away from that Victorian gender roles. And I really hope that you guys can kind of see that with my poem that I wrote about chess. And like in a chess game and in a court matter, it's not always like individuals who win. Sometimes society wins as a whole, and we see that society's notions really prevail in these novels, that these women who are great examples and role models and kind of precursors to this modern woman that we saw kind of develop in the novels that we read, they're these great examples, but they're not allowed to flourish because of the societal norms and that are going on at the time. And even though we're in the midst of this industrial revolution and the growing working class and women are taking on the domestic sphere fully and trying to make it a commodity and trying to produce work from it that's meaningful for them, and not just producing kids and having taking care of the house and taking care of the man. They're really trying to control that and prove their worth, but they're not able to do so. And even like literature, struggles to really show that. And I just thought it was really interesting. And kind of like at the end of my poem where I say, when there's, down to the end after each sacrifice is made, no money, no pieces, no more moves to be played. We really see that at the end of each of these novels, where Esther, she's lost her beauty, she's lost her resemblance to Lady Dedlock. Jarndyce has finally let her go and marry Woodcourt, and she doesn't like believe in her ability anymore to like function within this domestic realm, because she's no longer this esteemed angelic Victorian woman. And Maggie, at the end of the day, the family's gotten the mill back, and then the river floods, and she goes to save Tom, and they die. And there's this higher power that's at work there that are keeping them constrained within the social norms. And so I had a lot of fun really exploring those ideas, and I hope you guys enjoyed the poem and the little video. And if you have any questions, I'll be watching via Mediasite, but I'll also be able to participate via Skype. You can also message me on Blackboard if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. And I hope everyone has a great holiday, and we had a great semester, and I learned a lot. And so thanks, guys. Have a good night. Bye.